My name is Laurel Walzak from Toronto Metropolitan University, and I'm presenting today a book called Sport Media Vectors, Gender and Diversity, Reconstructing the Field. I co-edited this book with Dr. Danica Vedado and Francesco Calura. It is published by Common Ground Research Networks with Sport and Society. This is a compilation collected edition. So I'll talk to you about the editors and then I will go into the authors and of course the themes of the book. Again, my name is Laura Walzak. I'm an associate professor at the RTA School of Media at the Creative School. I joined in 2016. And I also founded the Global Experiential Sport Lab, where we focus on the intersection of knowledge transfer between globalization, digitization, and commercialization in sport media. I also was the recipient of Toronto Metropolitan University, formerly Ryerson University, at the 2020 Ellen Shepard Gender Equity and Inclusion Award. Frankie Calura is a PhD candidate in the Joint Communication and Culture program at Toronto Metropolitan University and York University. And Dr. Danica Vedado at the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education in collaboration with the iSchool Knowledge Media Design Institute at the University of Toronto. I'd like to talk to you about another important person on our team, Chelsea Verne, who designed the cover of the book. The tone of the book is about advocacy. It is about challenging and changing narratives, women intersecting in sport and consideration, chapters where we're considering emerging scholars, and for the most part, all Canadian authors. One author provides a perspective from Ireland, versus our last book, which was about sport media vectors and the globalization of live sport audiences, which was a global book. This is much more Canadian focused. We saw that there was social justice scholarship, where we see it's a key issue in sport and sport media research and writing. And we're going to talk about the main themes within the book and the design cover. You'll see that there's pro sports chapter on WNBA, WTA, Paralympics, international swimming, US, WNT, sport media, a little bit more on journalism, media and audiences, LGBTQS+, pay parity, ability, and three chapters in particular on Muslim women in sport, and one chapter on Black Muslim women in sport. So before I get into all of the themes, one of the things that I would like to reiterate is the fact that we really wanted to bring together an invited collection of writings from emerging scholars about sport and sport media and equity. We're really excited about the authors' range because they range from undergraduates and master's students to doctoral candidates from Canada, and as I said, one from Ireland. Every single one of the authors, we are passionate and excited about the possibilities for equity and radical change. And we've used this in the introduction of the book. So this is important for us because we absolutely see that gender equity and diversity, where we want to reconstruct the playing field, we hope that we're able to expand conversations in sport and sport media and social justice to show just how these issues are being thought about and worked through by entering the sort of the intersectionality of feminist sport media field. So I'd like to talk to you about all of the 8 chapters. There are 8 chapters and 169 pages, and it starts off with our author, Annalisa Raimondo. Now, as I said to you, this is about undergraduates, masters, and postdoctoral, doctoral, excuse me. And the opportunity here was to provide access to these young emerging scholars to look at what they're interested in investigating and be also inclusive in their voice. So in chapter 1, Serving Looks, an investigation of Eugenie Bouchard's self-representation on Instagram, you can see that really Raimondo's chapter demonstrates tensions of agentic self-representation where dominant sociocultural ideals remain strong despite sportswomen bypassing media gatekeepers on social media. Chapter 2, Who is the Purple-Haired Man? Queer erasure and audience sentiment towards Megan Rapinoe. This author, a master of professional communication at TMU, Grace Esford. Esford examines online discourses that emerge from the comment section of the Guardian Football YouTube video featuring the United States women's national soccer athlete, Megan Rapinoe. She looks to unpack the microaggressions, discrimination, and hate about Rapinoe that reinforces the dominance of heterosexuality and masculinity in sport. Chapter 3 was by 3 authors. Habib Mohammed, Asma Khalil, and Sabrina Razak. This chapter in particular looks at the invisibility of Black Muslim sportswomen. It investigates the portrayal of Black women, Muslim sportswomen, in the sport media landscape. Through an examination of feminist sport media texts, this chapter uncovers the intersectional relationship between racial identities and Muslim sportswomen. And I'd also would like to take a moment to acknowledge that we unfortunately lost one of our authors, unfortunately passed away this year. So we're very sad about that, but also feel very fortunate and lucky to have been able to work with her. In chapter 4, Muslim women's experience of sport and sport culture. Dr. Danica Vedato and I wrote this next chapter, and we partnered with an organization in Canada and in Toronto in particular called the Hijabi Ballers. We looked at Muslim women's experience of sport and sport culture in Toronto, and we wanted to understand what is their experiences participating as a Hijabi Baller, which is a Toronto local sports organization for Muslim women. Chapter 5. This is a very special chapter to me because Shireen Ahmed, not only is she a fantastic journalist and a world-renowned podcaster, she also a TEDx speaker. She also was pursuing her Master of Media Production, which she also achieved under my guidance as her supervisor. She coined "We Are the Movement" for her title. We are the movement, and it's quoted here. This is where it examines how Muslim sportswomen can shift the dialogue and change the narratives about Muslim sportswomen in media. This chapter in particular offers insight into an underserved, underrepresented, and othered cohort in the sporting world. Chapter 6 is by Dana Dashuk. Dana created an investigation of how women's basketball in North America has been silenced by the NBA and men in sports industry. Her chapter explores gender equality and female representation in sport media by investigating the 2020 WNBA finals on traditional broadcast networks. Through an exploration of quality of coverage and promotion of the WNBA by the NBA, Dashuk outlines the control and silencing of women's basketball. I also had the opportunity to teach Dana. She attended my sport marketing class in 2022 and had the opportunity to have her in my class. She was an undergraduate student after she wrote her chapter, actually. So chapter 7, where equality should flow, swimming as a catalyst for non-gendered and equality-driven media coverage in sport, authored by Lydia Ferrari Kehoe. She herself is a former Irish international swimmer, and she holds a bachelor's degree, and she is completing her dissertation entitled Media Portrayal of Female Swimmers. So we're really excited here because she's got a passion for swimming and journalism, and she basically has merged and positioned these two in the sport media field. Here you will see the natural parody of swimming, where athletes often compete and train side by side or consecutively, has her exploring swimming as a potential way to promote equality, equal and non-gendered reporting in sport media. And finally, in chapter 8, the ghosts from Antagonish, social construction of disability in our nation. Devin Guttel, who is known as the Great Ghost, is a 3-time Paralympic swimmer and 2015 Toronto Parapan Games gold medalist, multi-medalist, and multi-finalist. He also is a current student as an undergrad at Toronto Metropolitan University. In The Ghost from Antagonists, The Social Construction of Disability in Our Nation. This is a personal reflection, and I really enjoyed co-editing this. Gattel explores his story as a 3-time Paralympic swimmer. He turns to Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, or monomyth, to interrogate the ways in which disabled people are socially constructed in Canadian society. Gattel's personal narrative helps humanize marginalized groups in an attempt to use their personal story as a tool to see how we are all connected. And so, with this all being said, all of these chapters were written by emerging scholars who are challenging the norms. I love the fact that they're bringing a fresh perspective to this field. And really our goal was to have a bit of a feminist sport-based researchers, all of us, to be able to continue to share the narratives of marginalized sporting communities. We want to make sure that we continue shaping discussions and about who is welcome and who is celebrated in sports, with the intention of creating equitable sporting spaces. We hope that you enjoy this book. You can find this book on Common Ground Research Network site. I've included the order below, and it is a hardback cover for $40, a paperback for $25, and you also, of course, can order the PDF. What we did at our university when using this at various classes is that we had this available in the library. Again, it's 169 pages with 8 chapters. So there are a few things here that I would like to ask if you would like to take action. 1, you can purchase the book. 3, I don't know why I put that. If you are going to be doing any work, please consider us for citation. And I've included the citation below. And finally, you can also order for your library. So again, really do hope that you enjoy Sport Media Vectors, and I'd like to thank you.